just the narratives and the biases of players is just mind-blowing to me. Like, everybody now is like Laviska Shenault is the greatest thing on earth. He's done absolutely nothing in his career up until last night. He had a 50-yard bomb. Outside of that, he had 49 receiving yards. Like, stop with this Laviska Shenault thing. Like, he's fine. He's a solid player for an NFL team. That's what he is, man. He's nothing. He's nothing special. This dude is not. He's not some. I'm seeing his route inventory increase last night. Stop, man. Like, why do we do this? Like, it's evident. Yes, you may have liked him pre-draft. Yes, you may think that his NFL skill set should deserve 150 targets a season. He's not that dude, man. He's a wide receiver 3. He's a wide receiver 3 that could potentially, if the moon and the solar eclipse and the stars all align, give you a top 5 game every blue moon. But even with DJ Chark going down, Laviska Shenault is not about to be some explosive, dynamic, producing fantasy asset. Like, stop. Stop. We hear this. We're just watching. I literally have a better experience watching the game staying off of social media. Because all that it is, like, honestly, it's confirming biases from start to finish. If you hated a player before the game, you hate on him throughout the game. If you loved a player before the game, they could fucking piss and make it into the toilet, and people are going to lose their minds. Like, honestly, like, that's what they're supposed to do. When you piss, it's supposed to go in the bowl of the toilet so you can flush it down, and people go crazy. Like, that's what we're doing every single week. You know, listen, Ja'Marr Chase was not my wide receiver 1 going into the NFL draft. I had him one spot behind Devonta Smith, both of those guys tier 1. But when I'm watching him play, I'm like, oh, he's the truth, man. Dude is the absolute truth. The absolute truth. He is a monster. He's going to be very good. Do I believe that he's Julio Jones? Absolutely not. I don't think he's that, but I think he's a damn good wide receiver, and he's showing that early in his career. I don't care where I had him pre-draft. I don't care where I had him ranked going into the season. Like, what he's done on the field shows that he's that guy. I have no problem saying that. But just watching all these ridiculous takes, man, week in, week out, like, dude, it is so annoying watching the games on Twitter. I don't even get on Twitter anymore, man. It's annoying as hell.
I can't do it. It's like you said, every time something happens, there's like 20,000 people tweeting about it. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. It could be a good play, it could be a bad play. And like you talked about with Viska, the problem for him is his usage. He needs to be Jarvis Landry levels of efficient and get volume, and he's just not that. He's never probably going to be that. He's just not. Like you said, third option. He's third in targets on the team right now. But to your point about Ja'Marr Chase, I found I want to say crazy stat, but an interesting stat about him. He has a 151 passer rating when targeted by Joe Burrow this season. That's not including last night's game, but you know, like, his ADOT is crazy high. I believe he's top 5 in ADOT. He's, top 5 in passer rating when thrown to. He's got 4 touchdowns. He, hit his overs again yesterday. Didn't score a touchdown, but looked phenomenal as the alpha. I mean, but Tyler Boyd looked really good too.
He's good.
And I don't want to say, but that those two guys complement each other so well. And then to throw Higgins into the fold as well, man. But finally, Joe Burrow got cooking. Oh man, I've been waiting for this day.
Yeah, let's
Let's get into the game.
Let's get into it, man. Let's go.
Wake up! This is the morning run.
Run, Forrest, run!
All right, so Cincinnati came back last night to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? It looked bleak early on. I was pissed. We were watching, and I was texting you, and I was like, man, they're about to mess up my entire teaser on Thursday night. I'm going to have to go put another, and I'll let y'all know the picks that I have for this weekend here towards the end of the show. But Jacksonville looked good to start out. Cincinnati came back. First half was atrocious for Cincinnati. They couldn't get anything going on the ground. They had a couple of good drives that started out early. Then Ja'Marr Chase had an offensive pass interference call, and it just seemed like the offense stalled out. And what Jacksonville did, which they should have been doing from week 1, is feed the beast. James Robinson, right? 18 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a good running back, man. This is a reason why I was in on his over yesterday of 52.5 yards. And we didn't know when we recorded the show that Carlos Hyde was going to be deemed inactive, but a healthy scratch, right? Which sort of signified that James Robinson was going to command majority of that workload. And outside of a couple of plays on offense, I think he was in there the whole damn time. He's a very, very, very good NFL running back. And I think that if he can command this role and end up, retaining this starting job or potentially getting moved to another team when Travis Etienne comes back, I think he's a bona fide high-end RB2 in fantasy football and somebody that we probably can depend on week in and week out to exceed whatever prop total, which will probably end up being between 50 to 65 yards a game here on out. I think we could probably project his over-under total to be anywhere from 50 to 65 yards. I think James Robinson is a good bet to go ahead and smash that week in and week out if he's getting this type of volume. Were you impressed with James Robinson and your overall thoughts on Jacksonville before we get to Cincinnati?
So I was sweating in about the first 3 to 4 minutes on our little, it wasn't like an official bet, but we were on different sides of this over-under. But yeah, when you talk about James Robinson not leaving the field, you are not speaking hyperbole. Every play he was in there. I don't think I ever saw him leave the field. Every time I looked into the backfield to see if he was in the huddle, because I was just praying he took a play off, he was not. He was always on the field every single play. But talking about the Jaguars, the biggest thing, and the thing I think I noticed really quickly was that, one, Trevor Lawrence ran a lot, which was great to see, but the problem was he became predictable. When he was in a pinch, he always took the ball. He reminded me of Taysom Hill a little bit. Now, I'm not going to say this same type of player. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence can actually run the ball. But when push comes to shove, if Taysom Hill is running a read option, he's going to pull it. It doesn't matter if it's Derrick Henry with him. Doesn't matter if it's Alvin Kamara. Doesn't matter if it's Dalvin Cook. He is pulling that ball. And the same thing happened with Trevor Lawrence. Now, the first 4 or 5 times it worked, but in the second half when they tried to do the same thing, it didn't. They stayed with him. They were able to stop him, and he wasn't able to get moving on the ground. And I think that's part of why they stalled. And to your point as well, they stopped running the ball with James Robinson as much in the second half. I think you mentioned he only had about 3 carries. And I think that was kind of the undoing for them, was that 4th down conversion they didn't get. Again, Trevor Lawrence pulled it, tried to do it himself. And then the Bengals coming down the field, and I think it was a 50-yard pass to Chase, at least 40 yards early in that second half. And then by then, the Bengals were rolling, and the Jags lost all their momentum in the early in the second half.
So what are your thoughts about this team? Like, a lot of people were panicked over Trevor Lawrence, and what I told everybody, and I've been on record of saying this, like, this instant gratification that we want from rookies is, we got to stop, man. Like, just fucking-lax. I'm sorry to say that on a Friday. I'm trying to be a better person. I was DMing with Scott Fish last night, and I was like, Scott, I'm trying to be a better person. But relax, man. Like, it's 3 games in, and I'm seeing people all across the Twitter sphere, oh my God, this quarterback class is a bust. They all stink. 3 games. Trevor Lawrence has looked so bad. It's 3 games, dude. 3 games. 3 games, and we're already just casting off players as total busts. And then Trevor Lawrence goes out there last night, rolling out to his right, 50-yard bow and arrow dime to Laviska Shenault down the field. You're seeing how dynamic he is with his legs. Give these cats time, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, fucking lax, man. Like, relax. Damn, dog.
100%. And you see the football IQ with Lawrence. There is still the mental mistakes every now and then, but on a throw like that to Shenault,
who doesn't have
that's a throw he's made a bunch of times. You see that all the time. He just throws the ball down the field and he just puts it right where it needs to be. Shenault goes and gets it. And then even on some of their quick passes, throwing out routes, they're always boom, 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 right where they need to be every time. It's really just the small things with Lawrence that are going to come with experience. They're not going to just come to him naturally. Yes, he is the number 1 pick. Joe Burrow was number 1 pick too. He threw 3 picks last week. But this week he comes back, bounces back, 25 for 32, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns. Looks great. Lawrence is going to get there. And even for Burrow, what's this is his 11th start in the NFL or 12th start in the NFL? He's only played 8 games last season. So you think about it from that perspective, there is a lot of room for growth for all of these young quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence included. Doesn't matter how good you thought he was. Doesn't matter how he was touted. He's going to be a great quarterback, and you see the intangibles every week. It's just about cleaning up the mental mistakes, but he's looked better every game, in my opinion. I think you'd probably agree with that.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, it's early in their career. That you just I always tell people be mindful of the content you consume, because people who are looking for this immediate gratification for players day one, they will cause you to make big time mistakes, whether that's fantasy football or in the betting space. And I just want to say one lock from here on out. Whatever Trevor Lawrence is, if Trevor Lawrence's rushing yard total is below 15 yards, just lock that in. Like multiple units on that. He's very athletic. He's got speed. If it's not there, if his couple of reads aren't there, he will run it. He knows how to get down and protect himself. So I think when you're talking about free money bets, Trevor Lawrence, any rushing yard total under 15, hell, maybe even under 20 yards,
Under
maybe
20,
20 would be a good bet to take. We talked about Jamar Chase staying in those Jamar Chase flames. He didn't get a TD. On the play where Joe Burrow hit CJ Uzomah, he kind of like he was telling him where to go. Chase was wide open in the corner. Like he had broke open in the end zone. If you watch it from the aerial broadcast view, I was like, oh, he had him. But Burrow didn't see him. So he came that close to getting another touchdown. But Jamar Chase, another fantastic game. And he's doing it with low volume, man. Like he's not like they started out. Like I think he had like 4 targets in the first quarter.
Early in the game, yeah.
Early in the game, and then he didn't get another one into the third quarter. But yeah, like you said, Joe Burrow's still a young quarterback. Trevor Lawrence is in desperate need of a alpha wide receiver. They lost DJ Chark last night. I didn't see what the injury was. If it was knee, ankle, is it going to be an extended period of time?
I think he fractured his ankle or something like that. It was, I believe it was a lengthy injury, and they think he's going to be out indefinitely.
Yeah, that's brutal. The biggest takeaway for me is, Cincinnati's resilience coming back. They're 3-1. They are leading the AFC North. And offensively, they're playing damn good football. As bad as we thought the offensive line would be, they held up okay last night. I know Jacksonville's not a ferocious defense, but they held up okay. Joe Burrow's looking good. Jamar Chase is looking good. Tyler Boyd is looking good. Joe Mixon got banged up at the end of the game, something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And in fantasy leagues, if I were you, I'd be picking up Chris Evans. I know Samaje Perine came in as the number 2, but if Mixon were to miss any amount of time, I think Chris Evans would start to develop a role, especially in the passing game. A rookie out of Michigan. But Urban Meyer, did you see his press conference, man? Dude is hurting. Urban Meyer is hurting right now, man. Like he is hurting with these losses, man. 0-4. They played 2 back-to-back games. But I think Jacksonville, the future is bright with Trevor Lawrence. I am still a big-time believer of his talent, his skill set. And I think, if anything, this should give us more confidence in him and in James Robinson moving forward. 18 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he had 1 reception for negative yards or one reception negative. But his usage is what's really, really encouraging.